Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back, and as always, huge massive thank you for the support. So I'm coming back again with the free crafty stash pad that was included with magazine number 83 of Crafting with Hunkydory. And today I'm going to be playing with, let's move this out of the way, Business Bear and Graduation Bear. Okay, so let's pop that to the side for a moment. And I'm going to bring in a piece of 6x12 cardstock. And I'm going to bring in my trimmer. And then I'm going to pop this in at the 2-inch mark. I'm going to move my blade down to the 3-inch mark. And I'm going to cut all the way down to the 9-inch mark. Okay, so from the 3 to the 9, and we've got 2 inches there, and that could vary. You could have it halfway if you preferred. Let's pop that out of the way and bring this scoreboard in, and let's bring this card template to life. So popping it in with the cut line at the bottom, at the 3-inch mark, I'm going to score all the way down to that cut line. At the 6-inch mark, I'm going to score all the way along the card as usual. And then because I've got the smaller board, so I'll turn it around that way. And again, at the 3-inch, I'm just scoring to that cut line. Okay, so you should end up with a score line at the start and at the end. Okay, and that's what that is looking like. Hopefully, I think you can just about see that. Let's pop that out of the way. Let's bring my little burnishing tool in. And then we can just start getting this moving. So we've got a valley, no, that's a mountain, and a mountain, and then a valley, and that should be a valley. So the valleys are the V, the mountains are the ones that sort of go up. And then once you've eased that into position, you should be able to bring that over and just start burnishing those score lines down. Just so you get a nice crisp fold on both sides. And you're going to end up with your cut-in Z fold card. Okay, so that is what we are working with today. So let's grab the trimmer again. I'm going to need 2 6x6 gold mini mats for this one, because you do decorate the whole of that card in different ways. So let's start with these pieces here. These are 3x6. So if I take 2 notches off the 6, and then just take 2 notches off the 3, and that's going to fit on there rather nicely. And then that one, I've got a border there if you need it, and that one is going to fit onto that back piece there. And then for this one, again, I'm going to cut it at 2 notches under the 3, so I'm not bothering with the length on this one. And then this piece here is 2 inches by 3. So we've already taken those 2 notches off the 3. I'm now taking 2 notches off the 2. One's going to fit on there. And then this is going to go on the top piece there, which is 4 by 3. So we're just going to take 2 notches off that 4, and that one's going to pop in there. And we just need to repeat that again. So 2 notches under the 3. Rotate it around, 2 notches under the 2 for that piece that's going to go under there, and then 2 notches under the 4, which is going to go in that piece in there. Okay, so the cardstock I'm going to use some of the cardstock that came as an extra. So I'm going to start by cutting that at 2 3/4. And then that's going to go to 5 3/4. So that's going to go on that front there. And I'm actually going to do the same on this one here, so we'll have it matching at the back. And then I'll just have this sort of speckledy pattern left over. Very easy to add borders and things to that to jazz that up. But again, that needs to be 5 3/4, and that one's going to go in there. Now these pieces here, so I don't think I really want to bring it in and go like so, because it's just going to be a bit confusing with those stars. It's too short to go that way. So what I'm going to do is bring in this piece of foiled cardstock from last time. It should be, yeah, we should have enough to do this. So I'm going to cut it to 1 3/4, and then I'm going to cut that to 2 3/4, and obviously I'm going to need 2 of those. So again, those bright funky colours, but in the topper you will see it does have those colours within it. I will show you when I get that out in a second. Now for those pieces that are 4 by 3, I'm going to swap to the guillotine. Sorry, creaky chair. And if I just pop this over to the side a second, and I'm going to start with, there is a 4 by 4 little sentiment. There we are with a little business bear on. And I'm going to start by cutting that at 4 inches, just so I don't mess up any of the others. Couldn't work out why that wasn't straight, but it's because the blade wasn't up. Right, so let's cut that to 4 inches. Okay, just to protect those, and I will pop those back in. Now I do want this to be 3 3/4, so let's take that bit off there, and then we want it to be 2 3/4. So what I'm going to do is just take that to slightly short of that wishes and the best wishes, and then if I turn that around, I'm actually going to take just a tiny bit more. I know I'm going to be cutting off some of the bear, but I want to save as much of the bear as I can. So 2 3/4, and then we've got that piece that's going to go in that middle piece there. And then for the piece on the other side, I'm going to use one of the other inserts papers in here. I think I'll go with these stars. So again, I'm going to take that to 2 3/4. Put that back into the book, and then that needs to go to 3 3/4. So that's my piece for my card. That's going back in the book. Those need to go in the bin. Now, are those the same? They are. Perfect. So those should be all the bits we need to decorate our card. Now what I'm also going to do, actually I'll leave that bit for now. Let's put the card together and then we can decide how much of that we need. Okay, so at this point I can just sort of straighten it back out. I'm just going to double check those layers on there are okay. They are good. They are good. If one fits, they're both going to fit. Yeah, they're good. And that's fine, and that's fine as well. Okay, so the glues I'm going to be using today, they're the same ones I usually use. So I've got the Kalau tacky glue in the white sort of PVA glue. Oh, got gluey nib. Let me just get that off. I must have put the stopper on while it was still a bit of glue on the top. Sometimes that happens. There we go, I think I've got it. Apologies, I should have done that beforehand, but there you go. In this one, so that's the tacky glue. This is the Clout All-Purpose Glue, which is kind of like an alcohol-based glue, similar to the Hunkydory construction glue. I like this one. It tends to be just a tiny weeny bit thicker, and also it comes in a 1 litre bottle, which is better for me. So for the cardstock, I'm going to be using those 2 wet glues, so the tacky and the all-purpose. And when I'm using the papers, what I will do is bring in a little Hunkydory dotty tape pen. Also got the Crafter's Companion dotty tape pen, both work equally well. You may have other tape pens there, brilliant things. Alright, okay, so let's just get that layer on nicely. And then we can go with this one here. And hopefully you all, if you're in the UK, had a nice bank holiday weekend. It's always nice to get the extra day off. Apologies for you guys elsewhere who might not be so lucky, but I'm sure you'll have days off when we don't, so it's good to celebrate your the things that go on in your own country as well. Alright, okay, so just layering these on, just moving those layers over so that I'm happy with them. Let's do those last. I think for this one, should we do that up? Yeah, we'll do that with the we'll do that with the gold nearer the top. And this is just a little off piece from that gold card I used last time. I did say I was going to keep all the pieces together so that we can make the most of them, because there are such a lot of characters in this book. I feel like if you do put a lot of papers on, you might need more, which is probably why they're giving you the extra cardstock. But so that's why I'm just going to keep all of these little bits together until I finish what I'm doing with the pad. And then actually what I will do is put them in a folder. I'm hoping to make up some extra cards with them, but we'll see how it goes. I still haven't finished making up the gnome ones. My sister did get her own gnome one, so I don't have to worry about her pinching them now. But I did want to get them made up and done. So put the images up on Pinterest and such. Okay, so that's where we've got to so far. You can see how that's coming together. So then let's grab these inserts. I still use the alcohol based glue, and then I use these dots in the corner. And this still gives me that sort of ability to just, as long as I am careful to move it into position. Sometimes the dots do grab quite quickly, but if they do, you can lift them. They are permanent, so they will settle and not be able to be lifted, but when you first use them, you have got that ability to just peel it up and restick. Obviously it's easier with cardstock than paper, but being able to do that is just an extra little bonus, isn't it? There we go. So when you've got it in the right place, just give that little press down, and that will straighten those out. Now we're on the mirror card on the back, so I can just go in with my normal glues. And this piece here, which is a sort of blanker piece of insert, I'm going to put this on this inside because you don't necessarily see it, so it's a perfect place for someone to write a message like well done, blah blah blah, because there's not a lot of room on this one really to write. but I do like that we've got it with the image on as well. So pop that on. And we can put that into there. And then we can see that's how it will look. On a shelf you will see that business bear coming through. So that is the card itself, looking quite snazzy, quite funky. I will check at the end after the video if there are any bits coming up. I will just put a little bit of extra glue under and pop that down. Okay, so let's plan this out. So we've got our little business bear, and he is going to go on the front. We've also got a You're the Business. So we've got that one there. We've got Good Luck in Your New Job. So that can go somewhere. And we've also got To a Dapper Chap. So he's probably, actually, we'll put him at the bottom to balance those two out. And I might go with You're the Business up there. Maybe Good Luck in Your New Job there. We have got these borders which I could pop in if I wanted to, with the congratulations and the so proud of you. But I think by the time we've got a couple of gems on there, that's going to be enough for this first one. So let's grab some foam pads and things and get these popped on. Like I say, this one here you're not going to see. It's going to, by the way the card folds, you won't see it, so you don't need to decorate that at all. Just wondering whether to pop him coming over. Let's just maybe then. Just thinking you're not really going to see him. Maybe if I swap those around, so he is at the bottom. Move that over there so that stands out a bit. I think that's going to work out better because that otherwise that's going to be hidden. Okay, so let's go with some 2mm foam pads on here. I think this should be just narrow enough. There we go. Just pop those backs off. A little bit of tacky glue just to give me a bit of wiggle room time. That one's going to go in there. Now I think what we should do, maybe have this a little high and have this maybe flat on the card just for a nice amount of perspective. So let's just cut these in half because this frame is a bit narrower than these are. And we can just start by popping these all the way around. Down. And poor little George has been poorly, bless him, really poorly. I mean, he's an old boy, he's like, what is he, 14 or 15? He is an old boy, and actually we did think we were going to lose him on Saturday. He was very, very wobbly, but with the help of some chicken, magic chicken, some magic salmon, he has picked up a lot. I mean, he's still not great, just his age, you know, so it's hard. But I'm going to keep our fingers crossed for him. Bless him. He's enjoying it though, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, everybody's paying me attention, everybody's giving me nice things. And Henry's like, why is he getting all the good stuff? Bless. Yeah. Okay, so again, a little bit of tacky glue. And there we go. Pop that. I'm going to do that centrally. I'm not even going to worry about it. Let's see, do we think that's going to be best to have him in the frame? Yeah, because it looks like he's in a door. Now I just have to get him out. I think I'll use the alcohol glue just so I can, oops, move him into position. And plus it's slightly, there we go, it's not going to move, so that's the best glue for there. I think we'll just go stick with these 2mm now. And there we've got the little half one, a nice amount of support on. And I think maybe some red gems. This is going to go nice on here. Could go with gold. But there is just that little hint of red with that strip there, so maybe the red will make that sort of stand. Oops, I didn't take the back off that one. Yeah, I think the red will make it stand out quite nicely. So this is a sort of topper. There's no sort of tag hole in it, so I don't have to worry about hiding that. That one's there. And then let's see if we can squash 2 of these on. Easy peasy. A little bit of glue. And then we'll just pop that there. Okay, so I use these red gems. Here's my knife. And I think we'll go with 1. And then a medium one there too. I'll just put that straight because that's going to annoy me. There we go. And then I think I'm going to put, I don't want to put it under there because that's going to affect the closing. So I'm going to put 1 there. I'm just going to leave it at that, just those 3 for that one. So let me just pop these away for our little business fair. And that is our little cutting Z fold. Oops, no, let's bring it down so you can see it. Goes in a 6x6 envelope, so fits perfectly in there. You do need to have one with a bit of give because that is quite chunky, and obviously we've got 2mm foam pads on top, so I'd say that probably is about, let's see, 1/4 of an inch thick at least. So envelope with a little bit of give, but that would be perfect for that one. But that's card number 1. Could have done it a bit straight, but it's fine. And I'm just going to get set up for card number 2. Okay, so for card number 2, we've got another piece of 6x12 cardstock. The first thing I'm going to do is just cut this at 2 inches all the way down, and that will go into my bit box. It says if there's any room in there. Yes, there is. And then I'm going to take another piece of 6x12 cardstock. It's a 300 GSM white, and we'll bring it in the scoreboard. So let's grab our little score tool, and I'm going to score at 3, at 6. I'm going to turn it around and score at 1, 2 and 4. And what that's going to do is give me 3 inches, 3 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 1 inch, 1 inch. And then this piece here, I've just gone the same width of this cardstock, so I'm just going to score that at 6 inches to fold that in half. Okay, just got a little bit sticky to my tool then, let's get rid of that. Okay, so let's give, sorry, this chair is so creaky. Let's just give that a burnish down, make sure we've got that nice and straight. And that's our piece there, so we will have to decorate one side of that. And then this one we're going to go with a mountain, a valley, mountain, valley, mountain. And then you're going to get these little steps. And what we can do is just give those a burnish down, remembering to do the underneath ones as well, just so that it stands nicely like so. Needs a little bit of weight on, and then it will come down like it's supposed to. At the moment it's just trying to come a little high, but it will be fine by the time we get the bits and pieces on. Okay, so back in with our cutter trimmer, and we're going to take a piece of 6x12 cardstock. I'm going to start by taking 2 notches off, because I know whatever these other measurements are, the length of it is 6 inches, so I can guarantee everything is going to be 2 notches under the 6. Now this piece here is 1 inch. So I'm going to take 2 notches off that one, and that will fit onto there quite nicely. And then this one here is 2 inches. So we're going to take 2 notches off the 2, and that should fit quite nicely into there. And then this back one is 3 inches. So if you haven't guessed it already, we're going to take 2 notches off that. Like I say, these pieces here are good for borders if you need them. I've got quite a few in my bit box now, so I am going to be a bit ruthless with it. And then I'm going to take another Miri mat. I'm going to take it to 2 notches under 6. And then I'm going to cut that to 2 notches under the 2. Just to do our little upright piece, which is 2x6. Oops, if I can pick it up. And that should fit onto there quite nicely. Okay, so those are our pieces. That will go into my gold bit box, ready for when I need a little piece. Okay, now for the, let's move that out of the way a second. For the pieces, so I've got this piece left over from a previous one. And let me just grab a little bit of tape. I always find it difficult to cut these little pieces. I need that to be 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to make sure it lines up. There is a sort of guiding line there. So make sure that stays nice and straight. A little bit of tape just to keep it in position. Hopefully, it might be too long. I might have to cut it down a little bit. Let's see. Needs to be 5 3/4. No, it looks like it should be 5 3/4. And that's going to fit onto there quite nicely. And then for my middle step, I've got one of the papers out of the kit, which is this sort of dashed line. So I'm going to cut a piece that's 1 3/4. Probably not the best trimmer to cut things on, to be honest, but we will make do. I can always double trim it, just take a little bit off on the guillotine if I need to. And then that's 5 3/4, and that should fit into there. That will need a little trim, it is a bit fuzzy. And then this piece here, we need to be 5 3/4. Again, we're keeping that in case we need a border or something. And then we need that to be 2 3/4. And that's going to go on the back. We've still got a decent piece there. And then this piece here, which we had left over from the other day, I'm going to cut this to 1 3/4. Actually, let's just take it to that line first of all. Again, another border, and then we can just take a little bit off, so 1 3/4. And this may already be to cut to size, yeah, so 5 3/4. And that's going to fit nicely onto there. Let's pop that out of the way a minute. Do I need anything else here? I just need to grab that guillotine and tidy up the papers. If you've got a really fresh blade on your trimmer, you probably will get a better cut. So this is a smaller piece, so it's not liking going under my trimmer too much. So I'm just going to use another piece of paper just to keep it straight. And you can see it's just the tiniest little bit I've taken off. And then there's that bit's going to be okay. Again, you know, it's hardly anything, it's just to sharpen that edge up. Okay, so now we are good to go. So let's start getting this assembled. So this smaller piece here, I'm going to use the dotty tape pen. It is cardstock, but lately I've been finding these smaller bits do better with that tape pen on the edges rather than the tacky. So I've still got that ability to just manoeuvre that to where I want that to go. And that's going to be that one there. This one is paper, so of course we're going to use this on there. And then some all-purpose glue. Oops. Hoping that didn't go on the gold. Mind you, we probably will be able to hide it at the bottom anyway. Right, so you can see those dots stuck down pretty fast on that one. So let's try holding those dots off a little bit. Thinking this piece isn't exactly straight, but as long as I keep it straight at the top, I'm going to be able to hide that at the bottom. Let's just grab that up. Just a tad. Yeah, it's just slightly, this blue is slightly off. You can just see where the line disappears, but it's going to be in the bottom there, so you're not going to see it anyway. And then this one, we can go with our normal glues. And pop this one onto here. Obviously you could come in and emboss this. Spellbinders have got a nice embossing folder with I can't remember what it's called. Is it something streamers maybe? That would look really cute on there. And then this piece I'm going to use my normal glues on. Don't know if you can hear the wind chimes. It's pretty windy outside today. A lot colder than it was last week, but they said it was going to be, but it's still pretty sunny and things in the greenhouse are doing okay, so I'm not going to complain. Okay, and then this one I'm going to go ahead and pop this onto this piece, and then that's going to have a little bit to sit while I do these other pieces onto the main card blank. So let's just pop that on, down, just give that a nice little press. There we go, so that's to the side. Okay, so let's open this out a little bit. We can start by popping these on. Now if you wanted to, you could hide the edges of that behind, I'm doing mine from the back to the front. You could hide it behind one of these layers if you wanted to, but I'm going to be using a border anyway on the bottom, going across all of them. That's the plan anyway. And so I'm not going to do that. Depends on how much you like your borders and things to be seen, do you know what I mean? I'm not bothered. I like people to see how the card has come about, so they know how it's been made in case they want to sort of replicate it. Because when I used to do the card shows, 50% of my sales went to people that made cards, which is weird. You would think they'd be the last people who would be buying, but it wasn't. Like I say, 50%. In fact, some of the shows where I didn't make any money at all, really, you know, because you have to make the stand back, the fees that it costs you to have the table or whatever. On those days, it was purely people that made card, or you know, other crafters that were there that were buying. So, okay, so now I'm going to decide where I want this to go. So I want it to go over all of those. So, and I think we will have, I was thinking about maybe doing it in the middle, but I don't think I will. I think I'm going to do it to the left hand side. So what I'm going to do is just pop some red liner glue, red liner tape on there. I'm going to add some tacky glue. And then if I get this the right way up, and then that should, so I can just pop a little bit more glue there behind. And then what I will do is open up this flap. If you're having problems with that sticking down, what you can do is use your reverse tweezers and just give it a minute. I'm not going to today because I'm going to carry on and get this card finished. But red liner tape, just a tiny bit along the bottom, because remember we've only got a 1-inch piece here. Again, I'm going to use a little bit of tacky glue, and then if I bring those up and fold those down, now I know that that's going to go flat into a envelope, and that's going to keep my card together. So that is the actual card blank. You can go ahead and make extra ones of these. You've seen me do a bigger card like that, usually about 7 inches I do when I'm using 2, and then I'll do from the back to this middle, and then I'll do one from the middle to the front. But there's no reason why you couldn't do it on both sides if you wanted to, if that's your choice. But there is our card blank. So now we need our bear. Where are you, bear? Graduation bear. So let's pop him out. So he's going, we'll go with the Well Done Smarty Pants, because that's going to fit nicely somewhere. We've got a You Did It, so we'll grab that, and I think we'll go with the So Proud of You banner border. So just going to carefully cut that out, holding my scissors in an awkward angle. So you've got 2 other banners there, you've got, or borders, you've got that sort of one with the dots, and you've got a congratulations. But we may use those another time, not today. If I grab my trimmer, just take that to a straight edge, and then to 5 3/4. The way that I'm thinking is we're going to have that at the front. Hard to show you. I'm not going to be able to lift it up, but that's going to go at the front. We're going to have our bear on here. I think we'll have our bear here as well. We'll have our Well Done Smarty Pants at the back, and then a couple of gems here and maybe there. That's the plan. So let's bring that down. I think I'm going to start with this piece, and seems we've been favouring these 2mm foam pads. Actually, have I got that the right way? Yes, I have. And what I want to do is just make sure we're only going up to there, because it's going to be a bit thicker here. So for that, I'm going to just, it's going to be fine actually. I have this 1mm foam pad, and then there's a little half a foam pad there. That should hopefully bring that out quite nicely. So let's do that first of all. And once you've got to this point, you know, you can do whatever you want, add as many toppers in. I mean, if you wanted both the toppers on this, maybe somebody's finished college and got a job, but then maybe their work placement or something, you know, you could combine the two quite easily. Or, you know, there's the other bears as well. Maybe they've left college and become a decorator, you know, you can combine these together if you want to. But there's that little border on there, like I say, going across there. This one, we only need to go on this bottom piece here. So again, I'm going to go 2mm. Can I get another one in there? Maybe bring that up a bit, I think. Now I'm going to leave those as they are. So we'll take the backs off. A little bit of glue. And what I'm going to do is just pop him in around about there. So he says you did it as well. So we've got our well done smarty pants. Are those going to be, yeah, as long as I keep it neat, they should fit on. There we go. I think the most difficult thing about this sort of shaped card is manoeuvring around, putting things on, which really you can't do until you've got it together, because otherwise you're not going to know how they go together, if you know what I mean, how things overlay. Okay, and then we've got this one again. So I'm thinking maybe quite high. Maybe we'll have him standing in that frame. Or we could okay. So I'm going to use some 1mm foam pads. Just grab a couple of these, just chop them in half. And I'm thinking I'm probably only going to need them on the top and the bottom. Yeah. So again, a little bit of glue. I'm going to go quite high up on this one, because I do want people to see that second one at the bottom. So kind of want it to be there, and then I'm thinking of having him coming forward. So let's get rid of those. Let's get rid of those. And I'm going to chop those in half. So these are the 2mm ones again. And then I leave a space for that bottom of that topper to go across. A little bit of a nice amount of support, I think. Here he is. Our bear coming through the doorway. Little successful bear. I wonder what bears do graduating. Hibernating. Alright, so tacky glue on those foam pads again. And then bring that in and down so you can't really see. But that's where I've ended up with him. Coming down there. And then we just need some more of those red gems, I feel, because of that blue and that hint of red going through. And then I'll grab my little knife. I'm going to pop 1, 2 there. I want a medium one and a little smaller one. And another little smaller one there. So where are we up to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's on the wonk. And 7, 8. Let's go with. Let's leave it at that. I think. I was thinking of maybe putting something down here, but I think if I do put 2 in there, it's going to look weird. So let's leave that as it is. So sorry about the crinkly noise. Get that in, and let me bring that up so you can see. So that's that one. You would only be able to put a little small insert in there. Unfortunately, those 4x4 ones probably wouldn't fit unless you sort of cut it off and sort of mount it up some way in there. I probably would go with the backing paper, like that star one. Let me bring in that one. You know, cut a piece of that backing paper, insert paper. But those are our 2 cards for today. Looking super cute. So you can go super small with these. I think you probably would get away with maybe a 4x4 if you wanted to with these toppers. But equally you can combine them and make them slightly bigger. I've just gone with 6x6 because you know that's my favourite size anyway. But that's it for today. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be coming back again with this crafty stash pad next time. So until then, thanks for watching and happy crafting. Bye.